I just interviewed Dr. Hart, absolutely phenomenal radiation oncologist. This conversation is not what you would expect. Here's who this episode is for. If you have cancer, you know somebody who has cancer, you have any chronic degenerative disease, or you know anyone who does, and it's in your family history and you want to prevent it. This is a very unique conversation and one that you are likely not hearing or seeing anywhere else. So, also, if you are a fan of energy medicine, the devices that I use here at the retreat center, you are really going to love this episode. Anyway, check this out. It's been a minute since I've been this excited about a conversation. I think you're going to love it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Game Changer Podcast. My name is Michelle Dutro. I'm your host, and I am joined today by Dr. Hart. Now, let me tell you, we were just chatting a little bit before I hit record, and I said, I love when I get to chat with somebody where the things that they do and the things that they're interested in or have specialties in are a bit of a surprise. It might not be the thing that's expected, and she is absolutely that today. So Dr. Hart is a board-certified radiation oncologist who spent her career treating cancer and came out convinced that the biggest wins happen before diagnosis. We share that in common. And here's what you don't know. She and I use some of the same frequency-based tools in our work. So up here on this shelf, I have been in biofeedback for more than 25 years. And for those of you that follow me know that 25 years ago, when being in biofeedback, it was, kind of like chiropractic work. You were a witch doctor, and it was snake oil, and what are you trying to sell? And I remember when I first started out, the device that I used back then, they took it off the market and said, you can only use that if you're a medical doctor. And then they came back and said, well, that doesn't work because medical doctors don't go through biofeedback training. So if you're a medical doctor, now you're practicing something outside the scope of your training. So then no one can, So it took a while. And now for those of us that have been in this space for a long time, now all of a sudden it's the cool thing.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden, if you're doing frequency-based medicine and you're in prevention and it's complementary and it's no longer alternative, then all of a sudden, for those of us, I'm thinking, well, I'm glad everybody caught up. But, it's certainly been around for a minute or two. Right. So that said, Dr. Hart, please let us know what else should we know about your background before we dive in and I start asking some questions that I know my audience is going to love to hear about. But what should we know about you and your background that we didn't chat about?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's really
Yes.
an honor to be on your podcast.
Thank you.
I am originally from Iran. And in Iran, when you finish medical school, you don't have to right away jump into a specialty. So I was lucky enough to practice as a family practitioner for 7 years before I came to the US. And that gave me a more holistic view of human beings because if you jump into specialty, you have a fractured view of people. And I think that's one of the issues with Western medicine in the United States, because you never really, other than being an internist or a family practitioner, any other specialty, you just focus on one part of them.
That's right.
Instead of looking at the whole thing. The other issue is that I really, despite what I do right now, I was never open to anything like I'm doing right now. I was just very in the box, like any other physician. And if you want to talk about anything, I'm like, oh, show me your data.
Yes, yes.
In fact, at beginning of any of my presentations, I used Dr. Fisher, late Dr. Fisher, saying that he said, in God we trust, everybody else needs data. And so through my own suffering, I had a ton of childhood trauma. And I had successfully suppressed them. And I thought I was fine until it showed up as insomnia when I was doing my internship in the United States. And like a Western trained doctor, I thought a psychiatrist is going to give me a pill and I'm going to be fixed.
That's right.
But when I saw a psychiatrist, they put a questionnaire in front of me, and the question was, have you ever been sexually abused? And at age 35, for the first time, I acknowledged to another human being, yes. And when she told me that I needed a minimum of 7 years of therapy, I almost fell off my seat, and I thought she's crazy. I'm like, why? I'm perfectly fine. I just can't sleep. She's like, no, you're not perfectly fine. You talk about it as if it happened to somebody else because you're so
Right. Removed from it.
suppressed and removed. And
Yeah.
so that 7 years of therapy turned into 30 years. And
Mm.
only when the entire treatment, medications, therapy failed, I was forced into coming out of the box. And I'm glad I was forced. It was not a good time. It was really a lot of suffering, but I'm glad I was forced to come out of it.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back. You're going through your internship. You
Mm-hmm.
have insomnia,
Mm-hmm.
and you said that, you know, you didn't have to choose a specialty, so you did family practice in Iran for 7 years. When did you start to choose this is the path I want to go down in medicine? And what led you down that specific path?
Just after 7 years of practicing family medicine, I was so bored. I'm a type of person that I need challenge. I like
Okay.
challenge.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I see one more sore throat, I'm going to jump off the bridge. I need to go into a field that it keeps changing. And I need to be on my toes every year, new data, new treatment. That is exactly what oncology is. So
Okay.
that's why I chose oncology.
Got it. And so for oncology, and I'm really, because there are things I want to get to, and I don't want to just skip ahead and get to the
Sure,
part that matters to me. I want to make sure that I'm trying to keep pace here with someone listening.
sure.
So you go into oncology, and in that, because oftentimes we go in thinking this is what it's going to be, and then we're in it for a while, and it maybe winds up being something different, or there winds up being some aha moments, or okay, I wasn't expecting this. What was it that you thought this path was going to bring you versus what was it for you? What were some didn't see that coming? Because I know, I'm kind of leading you down this prevention side, but what happened along the way that helped shaped who you are today and what you're doing today?
I when I graduated as a radiation oncologist, and even before I went to medical school, I was very interested in genetics. And when I graduated as a radiation oncologist, I was very interested in breast and female kind of cancers.
Okay.
And even though only 10% of cancers are genetics, I started doing genetic counseling for my patients because I wanted to catch people who were very prone. And part of it is because there's a lot of breast cancer in my family.
Mm.
And that was a personal interest that, I wanted
Yep.
to catch it for myself and my family members. So, because of that, prevention became important to me. So not only to catch whether we're genetically disposed, but also what else can we do? What else can we do to decrease the risk of getting cancer?
So I know that people listening think, okay, we've heard what can we do to maybe prevention for diabetes? Let's
Mm-hmm.
watch our diet. What can we do prevention heart disease? And we think about, again, also diet, exercise, right? Certain supplements. But when people think about prevention cancer, the next thought is there's no such thing. So, from your perspective, if someone is listening to this and they do maybe have family history, and or they certainly, everybody at this stage sadly knows a friend or a family or a coworker that has been diagnosed with cancer, and so now you've got their attention and they're saying prevention, what should I be doing? So in this path, what did you come across that you say, hey, this will help? Pay attention to these things. What is that from your perspective?
So I've been in this field now for 30 years, and my views have changed a lot. first of all, there's definitely prevention for cancer. There's no difference between cancer and any other. There's definitely prevention. So now then I was thinking, okay, let's talk about genetics. What else can we do? Oh, let's have alcohol in moderation. Let's reduce fat in our diet. Let's have some physical activity, and let's do genetic testing. That's as far as I was going, because I was just thinking about what American Cancer Society was
Standard
telling.
Western medicine will tell you all of that.
Exactly. And I had never heard about epigenetics. Now, 30 years later, I'm like, no, genetics is important, but that's only 10%. Let's talk about the 90%, which is epigenetics.
That's right.
Let's talk about inflammation, which is the baseline for any disease, whether it's cancer or diabetes or dementia, it's inflammation. Let's talk about sugar before we talk about fat, because that is what's causing inflammation. Let's talk about epigenetics. Let's talk about everything. Let's talk about the air we are breathing. Let's talk about water we're drinking. Let's talk about every bite of food we put in our mouth. Let's talk about electromagnetic field. Let's talk about energy, including location. Let's talk about grounding. Let's talk about everything, because it's not just fat and alcohol.
That's right. Well,
let's talk about gluten.
you definitely are, in the outliers, which I love and appreciate. Now, here's the thing before we start to chat about that, because for those of you that know, I own a retreat center, and that is the work that I do. I started 25 years ago in biofeedback for stress reduction, and it's all now longevity, inflammation based, and what is it going to take not to live a longer life, but a healthier one. There's no point in living longer hooked up to machines.
Whatever you do for biohacking, you're reducing the risk of cancer and any other disease.
Perfect. Well said. Thank you. I'm going to snip that and put it in a commercial. That is correct. Yes. Okay. You said yourself, which this is an interesting one for me, because I know what it was for me. I started on the same side as you, which is I used to be a firefighter. And when, you walk in, someone calls 911 and we show up. And what's the first thing that we ask is family history. That's genetics. Right. And so it took me a long time switching the sides of the fence, saying that was actually an important conversation, but not for the reasons that we thought back in the day. Maybe the fire department still thinks it is, but I'll tell you it is different. Is all of your family history is not the important on the genetics. It's what was your family's habits.
Exactly.
So how you were raised, right? Do you have a family history of heart disease? Do you have a family history of diabetes? Because you all ate the same. You all thought the same. You all processed stress the same way. And so that's the family history that matters.
Traumas, the one we forgot. Childhood traumas. Generational trauma.
You got it.
The stories that
yes, and yes. Yes. So that is the side of genetics of what is it that we're handing down, far more than gene expression, which can be changed, for crying out loud. It's like you have a seed in you, but does the seed have water and sunlight? Let's not give it water and sunlight so it doesn't grow. And the water and sunlight is our stress, is our bad diet, is our lack of exercise, all the things we're talking about. Okay, let's back up. I know what it was that got me to switch sides of, what do you mean energy medicine? What are you talking about frequencies? That was as foreign to me as anything. That is not how I was raised. That is not my background. That was not my thing. I know what changed me. I am so curious. What happened with you? Because you said, show me the data. That wasn't my background. That's not how I was raised. Was it little things over time, or did someone jump in your path that changed your whole way of thinking?
My childhood trauma and insomnia. So during my internship, which was in 1995, I couldn't sleep. So psychiatrist told me you need 7 years of therapy. I started therapy. Things only got worse. because we were stirring up things that I had suppressed, right? My insomnia got worse. I had some mild depression. It became clinical depression. They put me on medications. It got worse and worse. More medication, PTSD, and panic attacks. 30 years later, psychiatrist sat in front of me and said, I have nothing else to offer you. And I couldn't believe it. I just came out of his office, sat, there was a bench outside of his office. I couldn't even drive home. I'm like, what does it even mean?
Now what?
You don't, what does it mean? You don't have anything to offer me. So that is when the box of Western medicine blew open. I'm like, okay, now I have to try everything. I was not asking for data anymore. If you said, here's a glass of snake oil, drink it, you get better. I'm like, give it to me. I don't need any data. I'm drinking it now. So I tried many different modalities. Many of them didn't work. 2 modalities literally saved my life. Make anything possible or MAP, which in my opinion is the most efficient and the most effective way of neutralizing childhood, adulthood traumas. 30 years of therapy didn't do anything for me. 6 sessions of MAP neutralized my childhood trauma.
Okay, you got to walk us through that. For the person who says MAP, what are you saying? So give us a
I'm going to
overview. Okay.
So MAP it's very hard to make it really simple, but to me, it's a form of energy healing. But basically, I have become a coach because I'm like, what? Nobody talks about it? It needs 7 months of training. I went through it. I became a coach. So as a coach, in an introductory session through muscle testing, I connect with your higher self. Then there is a massive chart that through muscle checking, your higher self takes me to different sections of that chart. That chart, it can take me to your chakras. It can take me to your meridian points. It can take me to your parts. In internal family system, we have parts. Those are traumatized parts of us. It can take me to your environment. It can take me to any part. There are many, many sections of that chart. And then when I'm there, I give your higher self instruction to neutralize certain things, bring things into balance. You don't need to share any of your traumatic stories, which was a problem with me. 30 years of therapy, I was moving around United States, new therapists, and I have to go through this
all over again,
re-traumatizing myself by telling those stories. No sharing. It can be done in group, because all I ask you is that, okay, bring the image of what is bothering you into your own mind and give me a number. Tell me it's bothering me 10 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And then through instruction and communicating with your higher self, we bring that number down. And how does it work? It rewires your brain. And as you know, trauma creates certain patterns in our brain.
Yep.
As an abused person, I was falling in love with abusive men.
Yeah.
2 abusive married, 2 divorces. And then I quit dating. I told my psychiatrist, you choose 99 perfectly healthy men, put them in a room, and put 1 abusive man. My unconscious mind, I spot that one, I'm in love.
Yep.
When you rewire your brain, that pattern doesn't continue. So
Correct.
That's how MAP works.
So this is an important distinction, and I don't want to come across as though I'm just bashing all psychiatrists out there, but certainly there is something to be said for just standard talk therapy of talking about the same thing over and over and over. neuroplasticity has told us that your brain can rewire to anything that it spends its focus, time, and attention on. And if your time and attention is talking about the same thing over and over and over, no different than if you're not talking about it, but you're thinking about it, you're ruminating about it, it comes back over and over and over. It's like ski tracks in the snow. They get deeper and deeper and deeper. And the
Absolutely.
ability to think a different thought
You're
becomes
reinforcing
harder
it.
and harder and harder.
You're
Yeah,
reinforcing.
you've just got the grooves on the record and it plays the same
Yep.
story a million times, whether
Yep.
or not you're trying to. It's just on autoplay. So I love this. Now, tell me this. Do you think that if you hadn't hit rock bottom and your rock bottom was someone throwing up their hand saying, we have nothing for you, thanks for devoting 30 years into this and it didn't work and nothing else is going to. So if you didn't hit rock bottom, do you think you ever would have been open to even hearing a conversation about considering a different approach to life?
Probably
Isn't
not.
that fascinating? See, I ask this to a lot of people because I have been in this space for 25 years, and it's always interesting that I have said many times, when you hit rock bottom,
Yeah,
you're going to be willing to listen to anything because you have no other option. But
exactly.
when we stayed for those people who think they have it all figured out or have all the answers or don't want to be open to some other thing, some other possibility, you are limiting your life.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard, and I think that the more education we've had or certain types of education, the more our thinking is that this is not only a way, but it's the only way. And it's a shame. It's very limiting. I'm so grateful that you are out in the world being that breath of fresh air in your space saying there's another possibility. So now I'm curious, where are your colleagues with this energy medicine and meridians and chakras? And you brought up all kinds of things that are not Western medicine common terminology. Do you chat about this in the break room? Are you chatting with friends? Do they look at you like, oh man, she's gone off the deep end there? She went to a sweat lodge and she's never been the same. What are those conversations like for you?
Actually, in Houston, there's a group of us that we meet at least once a year as a huge convention.
Really?
Yeah, and we meet shamans and physicians come together because we believe that we're all healers, and physician want to learn from shamans and shaman wants to learn from physician instead of bashing each other and
Yes.
questioning each other. And that's the once a year gathering, but also throughout the year we have Zoom meetings and we're in contact through WhatsApp, and we have small meetings here and there. And of all places like Texas, you would think, you would never find a shaman in Texas, and then plant medicine is here. Plant medicine does the same thing. It rewires brain.
That's right.
It's unbelievable. I think, speaking of energy, Mother Earth and the expansion and how the energies have changed, shifted. It's the time for awakening.
That's right.
And I think there's more physicians who are in closets, I call them, that they don't talk about it, but either through their suffering or what they have heard here and there and seen and have heard from their patients or things that they have, witnessed, they know about it, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah. And certainly I will agree with you. They're certainly paying a little more attention.
Mm-hmm.
Where before it was scoffed and, being voodoo and witchcraft is warranted. And when you said about show me the data, there's now a lot of it. That's
Yeah,
just the truth
there
of it.
has
There's a
been.
lot of, especially around plant medicine and the VA getting behind it. And we certainly know now the White House is getting on board with fast tracking studies and research to allow things that have been banned since the mid 70s for all the crazy reasons. So let's go back. I told you I was going to get excited and get off track. You said there were two things.
Thank
This
you
was
for
one.
remembering.
What was your other one?
The other one is called Kundalini Activation Process, or CAP. And believe it or not, both of these showed up in my Facebook. And I was like, at a point, I'm like, I'm trying anything.
Huh? Okay.
So I have been doing CAP for almost 6 years. I do it on a weekly as a recipient with my own facilitator every week. And for the past a little bit over 2 years, I became a facilitator, and I'm offering it both in person and online. And I use analogies for people to understand what's the difference. First of all, I believe that CAP and MAP are complementary, and I tell you how. But I use the analogy of massage. Like if you go to get a massage and you say, I want a massage, and they may ask you, say, is there any particular part of your body that I need to pay more attention?
Yeah.
And you say, yeah, my neck has been bothering me. That's MAP. MAP is focusing on your traumas. But when you say, no, I just want to get the general massage or feel better, that's
Yeah.
CAP. CAP raises your vibrations. We are just energetic beings. Our thoughts, our emotions, our state of being has a certain vibration. The only, and I emphasize, the only difference between disease and health is the difference in vibration. The way spontaneous healing happens is that when you shift your vibration, you are not the person who had the disease, because disease is a very low vibration state and health is a very high vibration. So what CAP does, raises your vibration. When you raise your vibration, you are healthier, not only physically, but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually. These two modalities have absolutely 100% changed me and my life. If you met me 6 years ago, you would not recognize me. Very shortly after these two modalities, I came off all of my medications. I don't remember when was the last time I saw a therapist. I sleep like a baby. I have been happiest I have ever been in my life. I'm a totally different person.
So tell me this. Someone comes to see you. Are you still practicing? You're still a practicing doctor?
I have come out of clinics because I cannot talk about these things in clinic.
Oh.
But I do
Mm.
online second opinion consultation type of thing.
Okay. So take me back. Was there a time 6 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago, when you were much better? These things were in play like 5 years ago. So you were a year in. Were you still in practice then?
I just left practice in March.
Perfect. Okay. So I want to talk about the last 6 years minus the last couple of months. So the whole time that you were still in practice and doing these modalities, getting involved in energy medicine, understanding the truth of the way the body actually gets sick and diseased and the way the body actually gets out of it and healthy and well again and can sustain that. How did you handle conversations with patients when that they're I'm trying to word this for the general person listening, because you and I have to assume that, let's just not assume that the audience has years and decades of energy medicine background. So for just the general person listening, somebody comes to see you and without having to ask about their diet or exercise, they just have a low vibration to them, right? The way they're interacting in the world, there's a heaviness, there's a gloom and doom, there's no positive outlook, like just everything about them, their healing is going to be very challenged if they stay in that space. How did those conversations look for you over these last 5 or 6 years when you know what you know, and you also know the umbrella of the American Medical Association that you're operating under?
Yeah.
And if you want to keep your license, you better stay in line with, protocol.
Yeah.
And, the reality is scurvy is caused by a lack of vitamin C, but we're not allowed to prescribe vitamins. So no, the FDA is a very strong organization. So is the AMA. So is the ADA.
Right.
And I've been on the opposite end of all of those for a long time. How did you handle those conversations and walk that line?
So first of all, I honestly, I'm not against Western medicine. I think Western medicine is really, really good in handling acute phases of diseases.
Absolutely. You have a heart attack, you get shot in the gut,
Right.
something happens
You don't want to
right
meditate
now.
and have
There's
heart
not a better
attack.
place to be than the United States to
Right.
keep you alive in a crisis.
Exactly.
Yes, we
But
agree.
it's really bad in chronic illnesses.
Yes.
Really bad.
The worst. Yes.
So when I was in clinic, obviously somebody is diagnosed with cancer, they need surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. So I created my own website and I had my own a separate business card. When they finished their standard treatment, and if they asked me question that I knew they were interested in more than this, because you have to be also open. The patients have to be open. If they ask me questions that I knew these are the type of people who are open to more, I would hand them that card that was different from the clinic card. I'm like, look at my website and contact me. And that was a completely different the conversation I had completely outside of clinic.
And you didn't get
But
in trouble for that.
no, I tell you why. Because I was working with someone who was just as open-minded as I was. If I was like, it's just the two of us, like we're very open-minded. And if I was working with anybody because I didn't own the practice, I was just working with him. If I was working with anybody who was close-minded, he would not have let me hand my cards because nothing is unseen in a clinic.
Right.
And they are very afraid of being sued.
That's right.
And uh, like since I have come out of clinic now, I have a second website. My first website was Heart to Heart Cancer Consultants. That's it. And you could not find the word healing in my website because that's a no-no. You're going to lose your website.
Yeah.
Now, since then, I have a website called Healing by Heart. At this point, I don't care if I lose my license. I can take it from. So I need to be able to talk.
Okay. So tell me this, because I'm sure anybody listening is wondering, what have your results been? So you have plenty of data of people who went through chemo or radiation or surgery or some combination of all of them. And to whatever degree, I mean, I'm not asking you that you kept data and, records on all of them, but you certainly have an idea in your mind over those decades of amount of people where it came back or some other thing came up or some other problem or some other whatever, because when you're in a chronic degenerative disease, maybe now it's arthritis, maybe now it's this or early onset Alzheimer's or who knows whatever, versus I'm curious how many people you watched that took a different path afterward and said, I'm going to look at my wellness differently and I'm going to be proactive about what I'm doing around the world of energy. Have you, and I don't know, maybe you haven't been tracking it, but have you seen a difference in people who get very involved in their own health and wellness from this perspective versus people who stick with the perspective of what drug and medication should I be taking now?
I have been in private practice since 2003, so I have not been in academic practice or researching or anything like that. Um, and anything I say would be absolutely anecdotal,
Sure.
and especially for people who have consulted me online or have come to my CAP sessions or MAP sessions. I have zero data. I do not have any data. But I have seen things that just seeing one of them is just mind-blowing. Like I had somebody who came to me who thankfully did not have cancer, a young woman who had mastectomy for a different reason, and her wound was not healing for more than a year. And had done multiple surgeries and it was not healing. And for a young woman, it was really, really, I mean, it had really was leading her into depression, right?
Right.
So in that annual meeting that we had with these doctors, she met me, and I did map sessions on her. Only 2 sessions. And then I gave her a recorded voice of myself talking to her higher self. Within a couple of weeks, her incisions completely healed.
So someone's listening right now going, that sounds crazy. How do you personally explain that?
I'm getting goosebumps. I mean, my entire arms are goosebumps because I clearly remember the moment we both recognized what was the reason for the wound not healing. She had emotional wounds. Our bodies reflect what is going on inside. And I remember the moment I was talking to her and we were talking about her childhood wounds. And I got this insight and I said, oh, your wounds are the wounds on your chest are reflection of your unhealed emotional wounds. And now that we have healed your emotional wounds, your wounds are going to heal. And boom,
And they
they're like
did.
gone.
You know, I love the work of shamans, and certainly we could talk for eons about plant medicine, but that particular belief system, shamans believe that all sickness and disease is spiritually driven, that there
Mm-hmm.
is a spiritual
Component.
problem
Uh-huh.
that needs to be healed, and it's just manifesting in the body. One of the best books I think that was written for the typical person who doesn't come from this background to kind of click and get it is The Body Keeps the Score, where every single thing you
Yes.
have to understand,
I
every
can never
thought.
say his name, but I have met him in person and I
Yeah,
love him.
fantastic
Yes.
author, fantastic researcher, and it's written from a way that's undeniable.
Yes.
And so in this space, and I want us to really take the opportunity to talk to that person who's listening, and we're going to go a couple of different levels. The first level is this is not their background. This is
Mm-hmm.
not anything they've ever heard about. They've never done homework or research. They don't see somebody with these devices sitting around. What would you say? You know, tap back into who you were back in the day. They haven't hit rock bottom yet, but we've got their attention. What would you say? Start here. If you're open to anything at all and you just want to look into anything at all, just to start to educate yourself into other possibilities and what is out there, what is your recommendation for that?
For betterment of their health?
Just to start to get educated, to understand what we're talking about, to learn. What is, whether it's a modality, maybe it's your website, maybe it's a book, where do you say if someone says, okay, I'll get started, I just want to learn what you two are talking about? Where in your mind is a good, you know what, let's just dip our toe in the water. Here's how you can start to get educated. Maybe Kundalini yoga is not a step one. What
Mm-hmm.
is a step one that you might have maybe got your attention back in the day if somebody would have said, okay, I know you're closed down, Dr. Hart, to
Mm-hmm.
all this, but here's a book. Here's a thing. What would have been something?
I would tell them that as a radiation oncologist, I did not know I was providing energy healing for 30 years. Radiation is nothing but energy healing. I was using electrons, photons, protons to heal cancer. It's pure energy, right? But Western medicine doesn't call it energy healing. It was absolutely energy healing. We were learning physics when I was doing my residency, learning about different energies that I as a radiation oncologist could use to heal people. People are using ultrasound to break kidney stones. What is that? That's energy. right? They're not opening your kidney. There's no surgery. They use a form of energy to break stone. Red light. Red light takes care of inflammation. What is red light? You go expose yourself to red light and you subside inflammation. It's energy healing. So it's really, the difference is we are speaking two different language. However, we have been using energy to heal for a very, very long time. So we're not talking about anything new. This has been there forever. So please just get that prejudice of this language barrier away. We have been using it. There's nothing new. When we talk about childhood trauma and its connection to all diseases, including cancer, we have published data since 1940s. The only reason physicians are not taught those publications and data in medical school is that pharmaceutical companies cannot make money out of it.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because no matter what you said, I was going to say there's no money in a prescription that we can give somebody for childhood trauma, so we don't talk about it, because we only talk about things that we can, right, tear off the paper and send you on your way. That's the truth. That is the truth. I mean, it's a money machine, like it or not.
Exactly.
You know, when you think that hospitals and doctors and the whole industry only gets paid as long as you are sick, just do the math on that. What if we flipped it around and that whole industry only got paid if you were well? They would be fighting a whole different thing to do everything in their power to make sure that you're well, not make sure you stay sick. Not 19 different medications where, like when we started this conversation, everybody's in a silo. So you could be taking, I remember, again, let's go back to the fire department days, I would list out all the drugs and medications. I'd be on like the 15th one, and I'd say, how many of these are contraindicated by another one? Like, how many of these, or how many are you taking? Two of them have a side effect of this thing, so now you're taking this thing. And how many of them do you even remember why you're taking them?
I have had patients come to me with 50 medications that nobody's checking how they're interacting. Because the doctors are not talking to each other.
That's right.
You go to doctor number 1, 2, 3, 5, 20, and each one of them is separately prescribing things, and everybody expect them to be.
That's right.
Why is it that I, as a physician, didn't get even an hour of training on nutrition?
Not
Why?
one, not a block of it, not an anything. When we all know that is the background of everything, there's no money in it.
Because our food industry is owned by tobacco industry, because they use the same technique that they used to make millions of people addicted to tobacco. Now they use the same science to have created food addiction. That's why obesity is our number one problem. That is what a huge number of people are on GLP-1s. That is why just from GLP-1s, pharmaceutical companies are making billions of dollars.
Billions. Don't even start me on Monsanto.
It's all about money.
Don't even start with me about toxicity. The fact that, here's another great one. We finally ban a chemical because it's a known carcinogen that it can't be sprayed on, let's say, grapes. However, we'll import those grapes from Mexico or Ecuador that are sprayed with all those chemicals, and we allow that in the country, no problem. The whole thing is just such an ongoing joke. Okay, I'm going to just breathe here and try to. All right, so here we are. So yes, 50 medications, and then I'm just going to wrap the medication thing up with one other thing. Now imagine you're on 50 drugs and medications, and you take one of them away. or you take 3 of them and you cut them in half. If you think that doesn't change then the interaction of the other 47, yes, it does. That's why, a handful of years ago, I don't know where this idea went. Maybe it's still a thing. I don't go see doctors, so I don't have any idea. But, boutique healthcare was a thing where all of a sudden you'd have 5 or 6 doctors. Now, it was 100% out of pocket. Let's understand this.
Yes.
Under one roof,
Yes.
and they all get together every morning
In one
and talk
day, yeah.
about, Jane Doe and say, hey, I'm giving her this. How's it impacting this?
Right.
And you have a team working together for you. Anything other than that medical model makes absolutely zero sense. It's just an atrocity. It's an absolute atrocity. I hope if nothing else, people are listening to this saying, let me tell you, nobody on the planet cares more about you and your health and well-being than you should. No one. No doctor,
absolutely.
not even you and me. You need to care more about you than anybody, which means now with the day of the internet and everything available, there is no reason why you can't find an answer. What did you say? That the 2 things that came to you on Facebook?
Yep.
The point is, it's all out there. If we're going back to the 70s, from before computers were a thing, I wrote my papers in high school on a typewriter. Computers were not a thing in the day.
Right.
There's no more excuse. You now get to do your homework. You can look up everything that you and I talked about. Someone can look up and do MAP. What does that mean? What does that stand for? Who does that help?
Right.
You now can be responsible to
and
say.
now with AI, it's way
all of
more
it.
than computer with AI. But,
All of it.
it's really, really, with AI, hallucination and making making
Yeah.
up, people have to be careful. But I'm always amazed, or maybe amazed is not the correct word. Maybe you can help me to find the word. But I'm a physician,
Mm-hmm.
and navigating through health system is even challenging for me.
Yes.
I do not know how an average person does that.
No, you're absolutely right. And imagine you have 4 or 5 different things wrong with you, right? Fibromyalgia, arthritis, whatever. You have 4 or 5 different things going on. You're on 20 different medications. At a minimum, here's what AI can do for you. Every drug
Put
is
them as an
known.
interaction. Yeah.
That's it. At a
Yes.
minimum, say, I'm taking these 15 things.
Exactly.
How many of these are contraindicated?
Exactly.
And how many of these in combination are leading me to arthritis or fibromyalgia or
Exactly.
how many of these could be the actual problem? The thing
Right.
that I'm taking it to help me is the actual problem. There's just, guys, you need to care more about you, not only in health, but I want to say this in the same way, financially. Nobody cares about your financial well-being more than you should. If you're dumping that on a CPA or an accountant and you think that somebody is just going to give you all the advice and you're not looking into your own investments, you're not looking into your own money, you're just turning that over to somebody who's, running your investments, they don't care more about you than you should. You are in the driver's seat of your life. You are the CEO of your life. That means you've got to manage every aspect of it, and there's no more excuse. And I hope that in this conversation you're hearing, there are other options. They have been around not just for the last couple of decades, for thousands of years. Thousands. And now we have, complementary medicine now being accepting of saying, hey, let's take a look at this. People are getting results. And whether it's after cancer treatment or we're saying, hey, I have this in my family and I want to prevent it, whatever, or you're in the middle of cancer treatment right now, or whatever you're doing, take a look at these things because it's not this or that. It's this can go alongside that and maybe help the negative side effects be not so negative. And also when we're through it, like you're saying, do things so that it doesn't come back. Because if you don't make a lifestyle change, whatever was going on in your life that set you up
Whatever
to be in this place,
it's going to come back.
if you didn't make a change, right? What is the definition of insanity? Do the same thing over and over and expect a
Right,
different
right,
result. It doesn't work that way.
right.
Okay. So let me look at how we're doing on time. Oh, I knew our time was going to fly. I do want to talk because it's on the fringe of things. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Lynn McTaggart, these are people, if you're in the world of energy medicine, you know who these people are. Very have more data than you can shake a stick at
Yes,
when it
yes,
relates to people who were incurable, and then bim
yes,
bam boom,
yes.
this thing has gone
Spontaneous
into
healing, yeah.
spontaneous remission. It's gone.
Yes, yeah.
So let's just talk for a second about one of the devices that you and I have in common, the
Uh-huh,
BioWell.
uh-huh.
I'm curious how you use that now, and what you're seeing, especially here's what I love about that device in particular is giving people an immediate awareness of themselves that they either never had before or would not have without that. How are you using that, and how would you describe that to
I
folks?
use BioWell in multiple ways. One is just showing how dynamic our bodies are. And especially if I use a modality, whether it's CAP or MAP, how quickly we can shift. Very different from a CT scan or MRI scan, which if you did it now and an hour later are going to be exactly the same.
That's right.
I also I use the accessory for water to show how waters can be different in terms of their coherence and whatever. I also use the Sputnik for showing how filtration of electromagnetic field or dirty electricity or whatever you do to your house can change the coherence of the energy of your house. So, yeah, these are the ways I use it.
Fantastic. And the BioWell, for because I didn't even address it. So you're putting your finger in this little white box here. It's doing a reading of your energy field. And here's something that you said, Dr. Hart, that's so important for people to understand. And it if you took nothing else away from our conversation, energy medicine, what shows up as a vibrational out of balance is going to show first that way energetically before it manifests in the body. So
Mhm.
we can see an out of balance, and then
Yes.
they would say, oh, but I just had a test
Right.
done. I just had an MRI, I just had a CAT scan. Well, hang on, because here's what's coming. And
Yes.
so this is a vibrational out of balance, and it's no different. Let's just put it in terms that people do understand. Negative thinking.
Yes.
You have a negative way of thinking, but there's nothing wrong with you yet. I will tell you, if you live in a low vibration
Yeah.
and everything is bad and you're a victim and the world is out to get you, over time, that vibrational out of harmony with nature and all things is going to play out. The problem with Western medicine, and why we said it is the worst place to be for chronic, is we have not, because there's no money in it, we have not developed the tools
Uh-huh.
to see things ahead of time in order to prevent them.
Right, right.
But
And
energy
then
tools can. And
I love that.
another thing
Yes.
that they will do for you is people will get on a healing path and quit too soon because they say, I don't see the results. I'm not feeling better, or this hasn't changed, or that hasn't changed. But
Right.
energy medicine will show the same thing. Stay with it. Your vibration is everything about you is moving in a positive direction.
Right.
And it's like when you're in sales, and what do they say? You quit the job, you gave up, but that next call you would have made, the person would have said yes, and you'd be a
Yeah,
millionaire,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just stick with it. And the great thing about any tool that has the ability to read your energy, you can see, if let's say I did it every single day for a week, I can see if what you're doing is working for you or working against you way before any CAT scan, MRI, or ultrasound is going to tell you a thing. And then this diet or this exercise or doing MAP or whatever it is, this is working. These things don't lie. Your body
I
doesn't lie.
Yeah, I use the analogy of dental hygiene, right? You know, people think, you brush your teeth 3 times a day, every day, and then you go see your dentist, like for dental cleaning once or twice a year. Now you stop you stop brushing your teeth or cleaning your teeth, and then you get cavity. Not immediately, but eventually. Taking care of your energetic body just like that. You have to have a spiritual, energetic hygiene. And BioWell is, I'm glad that you brought the preventive advantage of BioWell, because it's showing you what is going to happen if you don't change things.
That's right.
6 months from now, a year
right.
from now. So yeah, the mentality of I want to see the result tomorrow, you're not going to get a cavity tomorrow. You're going to get a cavity 6 months down the line if you stop brushing your teeth.
That's right. And it's an unfortunate thing because we have turned into a society that says, I call it a microwave society. I want to take a pill and I want a difference immediately. You know what I mean? I want my meal ready in 30 seconds.
Right.
Even though that is not how we were designed to eat ever,
Right,
by having
absolutely.
food out of a micro. But, right? We don't have time. I just don't have time. And what I say is always, and I always use cancer as the example. I know you don't have time now, but when you have to make time for chemotherapy, you're going to make time for that. You know what
We
I
have
mean?
time to spend hours on our phones and social media, but we don't have time to, cook our food
The right
slowly,
way,
the right
right?
way,
Do a
right?
breathing practice every day.
Right.
And these are the things
Meditate.
that,
Yeah.
guys, it's just easier to listen to us now. It's just so much easier. Listen to us now. This is why I left the fire department, was we would be on these calls. It's the same thing. It's the chest pain. It's the diabetic seizure. It's all just like you said. I don't want to deal with the same things over and over and over. It was making me crazy. Same thing. We're on the same calls with the same people over and over. And I would say, let me look in your refrigerator. Let me look in your cupboard. And the rest of the crew, rightfully so, saying, Michelle, we're emergency medicine. We're in and we're out. We're not life coaches. We're not here. And they were right. You know what? They were right. Our job in the fire department is, are you dying, sick or not sick? Do we need to go to the hospital immediately? In our thing, do we call you an ambulance? Can you go by private vehicle? Like, what is the immediate plan? And sitting down and talking to people about their life is not that job. And that's why I left it with saying, my heart is on prevention, not on responding after it's too late.
Right.
That is not my love. I don't want to throw a Band-Aid on you and walk away. I want to say, let's prevent that injury from happening.
Right.
Because you can.
Exactly.
You can, all of this.
Yes.
So if you're already in a bad way, these things will all help. If you're not in a bad way and you don't want to be in a bad way ever, these things will all help. It doesn't matter where you are in your timeline or on the spectrum. There is not one thing we're talking about that will not benefit you. The thing is like you said, I tried many. Some worked, some did not. Great. Try.
I finally found the right one.
Try. That's exactly it. Try.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, I think, which is where we all need to get to, is it starts with an open mind. Just be open-minded to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to listen. You know what I mean? I'm willing to see what's possible.
Exactly. Be a seeker.
And maybe living into your higher self is that possibility. That is your answer. So
exactly.
Thank you. Okay. As we are wrapping up here, what did we not talk about or cover or address that you want to make sure people consider or think about? The last thing I want, and it happens so often, I end a podcast and someone says, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have brought up that. And so I don't want that to happen. What is there that you want to leave the audience with that we haven't chatted about? Or that we haven't covered?
My most important messages for people that I want to make sure they always hear it. If somebody is at the helpless place I was a few years ago, no matter how bad it is, there is hope. There's always a solution. You might not have found it yet, but maybe today is the way that you finally open up to new possibility and you found it. There's always hope. And the second one that I want to emphasize, you said it And I want to emphasize, you are your own advocate. That's it. There's nobody else. It's you. And you have so many tools. You have to have done your own homework even before you enter your doctor's office.
That's right. That's right. And there's no more excuse anymore. With AI and the internet, there's literally no more excuse. And I want to stop on this point here that you make about hopelessness and despair. And I want to stick on this because I know how many people have heard this when that psychiatrist, psychologist, whoever it was, looked at you and said, there's nothing more we can do for you. You need to hear that as there's nothing more this person can do for you, not there's nothing more that can be done for you. And that's where I think the hopelessness comes from.
Yeah.
And so many people get to that point of fourth stage whatever.
Yes.
And Western medicine says, we're done with you. Okay, then maybe Western medicine is, or that doctor, or that treatment, or that thing. But do not hear that as there's no other option for you to live.
Yes.
That is not true.
Yes.
That is, you just maybe have ruled out that one.
Yes.
Just like you tried how many modalities? Okay, you ruled out that one, and you ruled out that one, and you kept going until bingo.
Bingo, yes.
Here it is.
Yes.
So those are such wise words, and for anybody who feels that they are in a hopeless place, there is always hope. There's always the next thing. Do not give up.
Next thing, yes.
So you breezed on it before, but I want to make sure that everybody knows exactly which website to go to. So if they want to learn more about you, work with you, you said you're doing coaching and you're working with clients on this, where do people go to learn more about what you're doing?
For CAP and MAP, go to Healing by Hart, and Hart is HART. And for my oncology services, go to Heart Cancer Consultants. Thankfully, they don't need to type all of those words. It would be letter H, number 2, letter H, letter C.com.
And I will put all of that in show notes.
Thank
and
you.
if you are somebody or you know somebody who is faced with cancer or you're worried about it because it's in your family history or whatever the deal is, reach out to her. Like in reality, there are very few doctors I ever recommend in Western medicine. You are on a very short list, Dr. Hart. You are on a very short list. So please reach out to Dr. Hart. Okay, my dear, I close the show with the same question every time. So here we go. What is one thing that you absolutely believe to be true?
There's always hope.
There we go. This is somebody who really means it. When this is your one thing, that's it. Never give up.
Yes.
Never give up. There's always one more thing, and that one more thing may be your thing. So thank you. Thank you, my dear, for who you are, for your energy, truly for your energy and what you share and what you're doing in this world. The world needs you and a million more people that you can make just like you. Goodness knows we need that. So thank you for all that you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of the Game Changer Podcast.